Hey there, budgeteers. Are you ready to unlock the power of each payday and take control of your finances like a boss? Introducing the Payday Power Planner from New Money Habits. This isn't your average budgeting tool. Oh no. With the Payday Power Planner, you'll harness the unique rhythm of your paychecks to supercharge your financial game. Say goodbye to the confusion of monthly budgets and hello to the clarity of every payday. You'll know exactly when money is coming in and when it's going out, giving you the edge you need to stay on top of your finances. But that's not all. With the Payday Power Planner, you'll easily spot whether you're rocking a surplus or facing a deficit. Armed with this knowledge, you'll make informed decisions that set you up for financial success. It's time to transform your relationship with money and create the new money habits you need to achieve financial freedom. Get your hands on the Payday Power Planner from New Money Habits today and start making every dollar count. Don't let financial stress hold you back. Create a better plan for your money and seize the power of your pay period and thrive with the Payday Power Planner. Visit newmoneyhabits.com now to grab your free copy and unleash your financial potential. On this episode of the New Money Habits podcast, we continue our conversation with our very special guest, the money make-under and spending coach, Mary Ann Stenquist. What's up, budgeteers, and welcome to the New Money Habits podcast. I'm your host and one of the co-founders of New Money Habits, Coach Nino. And today on the New Money Habits podcast, we're going to explore how needs map to spending, discuss money mindfulness and how to plan for spontaneity, and take a look at Mary Ann's 4 Ds of decision making. If you have any questions, be sure to hit us up on social at New Money Habits and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. If you would like to help out the show, consider leaving a 5-star rating and review. We cannot thank you enough for leaving those 5-star ratings and reviews. They truly help us spread this message of hope to people looking for a better plan for their money. Now let's get into today's episode. So there is a very well-known hierarchy of needs, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How does that play in? Because you've talked a little bit about unmet needs, and as you were just sharing there a moment ago, I was thinking about, okay, but people are going to always tend to meet their most fundamental needs and then kind of go from there.
Right. Yep. Actually, it's fundamental, and I came up with the 6 spending types before I really made the connection with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And funny enough, I came across Maslow's hierarchy of needs on a marketing webpage. It was saying why people buy, and it was if you can create does your item create a need for the buyer? Does it meet a need for them? Does it fulfill an emotional need? And I was like, oh my gosh, this explains why people buy. And what really started my journey was shopping felt like such a need for me. It didn't feel like a want. It felt like a need. And so I was trying to figure out why it was such a need. And what I then discovered is that each of the spending types directly correlated with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the necessity spender, it's the bottom tier. It's the food, water, shelter, the bottom tier that has to be met. And then we have the next tier. The bargain spender is the next tier. It's that like security with employment and I forget some of the other examples right off the top of my head. And then the emotional spender is very much the love and belonging. And then on and up through the pyramid. I'll say that again. And then on and up through the pyramid. And now with that, there's still variation within that because all of the needs are fueled by emotion, and that's what it comes down to. So regardless of your spending type, regardless of the Maslow's hierarchy of need, the thing that I found the most fascinating about Maslow's hierarchy is it's fueled by emotion. And when I was trying to figure out why we buy, the science of spending, psychology of spending, everyone just kept saying it's dopamine, it's dopamine. And I was like, come on, it's got to be deeper than that. Like, why do we even want dopamine? What does dopamine do besides making us feel good? And I started looking at why we pursue dopamine and why the body responds to it. And the brain is looking to have its needs met, basically. And it gives us dopamine to motivate us to pursue those needs. And the needs are represented as Maslow's hierarchy. We have to have our basic needs met in order to thrive. And when a need is not being met, we're sent an emotion, and that emotion, usually negative, motivates us to pursue that need and meet it. We're rewarded with dopamine when it's met. What can happen though is with these emotions, it used to be taught that you had to meet the very bottom tier first before you could move to love and belonging. You had to have food, water, shelter, human relations before you could move on to anything else. I actually read Maslow came back and restated that it depends on the individual on what they focus on. For some, the need for emotional attachment, love, and belonging is so intense, they will forego or lessen their need for even basic needs like food, water, and shelter. And that explains why we have this disparity of people that will pursue the Hollywood, the fame, the luxury items, and yet their shelter is very minimal and their food is minimal. They're pursuing the luxury goods. And what I love so much about the hierarchy of needs is that it's a need for them. It's not a want, it's a need for them that's not being met. And we need to dive deeper into that to figure out what need is not being met and how can we meet it with things that are going to be lasting, with things that are not going to just give you that dopamine hit and then wear off the minute you buy it. That is what was so fascinating to me was this is what makes sense. This is why we spend. This is why shopping feels like a need. And then it's like, okay, well then why don't all people struggle with overspending? If it's not overspending, it's overeating, it's overdrinking, it's whatever you like to do. It's just that balance. And so for overspenders, it is a definite need and we fuel it with and we fill it with items rather than experiences. And marketers know that. And so it's by design and we need to retrain that habit to just impulsively fill that need with an item and figure out, well, what needs not being met. It's not going to be filled permanently with this item. It's not going to meet it forever. You're just going to keep running away from it and you're just going to keep swiping that card.
That is so interesting because I think about a content creator who I thought was fascinating for a little while. My wife was following her, and I was like, "Oh, that's a really fascinating lifestyle or whatever." And then she got boring. But what was fascinating is at first she was documenting the fact that she was living in her car. So she was living from her car, but she was happy to do so. So she was
Yeah.
foregoing the shelter and the some of those basic needs because of what she was pursuing elsewhere. And now that I kind of reflect, I can see it played out. What you just kind of unfolded for us, I can see it playing out in the world around us because there are people who choose to forego some basic necessities
Yeah.
in order to achieve these other things that they want more than they want a healthy
Mhm.
meal, a place to go home to, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's where it gets tricky is to the brain, that is deprivation, and deprivation means danger, and it will do everything and anything it can to get that need met. And we get rewards naturally in the brain for meeting needs. That's how we survive as humans. Otherwise, we just sit and do nothing. We wouldn't be motivated to do anything without dopamine. But we've learned, and as a society, we've learned how to replicate dopamine in other ways with shopping, with scrolling, with phones. There's so many things that replace that natural reward. And for the brain, it just craves more and more and more. I actually read a study that said uh, for the average shopper, let's say they feel this, their mood is at this level when they go shopping. They find something they want, their mood increases because they found something, they got it, they feel good, and it maintains. For overspenders and overshoppers, is how they coined the term in the research study, their mood is down here because they're low, and then they buy something, it brings them up a little bit, and then they go down. And so they need, like, their threshold lessen, it gets lower and lower, and you need more and more to get up and up. I found that so fascinating. It's like we uh, we kind of habitually deprogram, we kind of lose that dopamine hit, kind of gets less and less every single time, and we need more and more. We need um, more frequently. We need uh, like bigger price tags, whatever it is. We need to fill that need, and that's why we'll constantly be chasing the shopping. We'll constantly be chasing things to buy. There will always be stuff to buy. There will never be a shortage, but what we need to do is chase that. What's the need? What are we running from? And so often I think people say shopping addiction, and addiction is it used to be more negative term than it is now, but I think addiction needs to be viewed as an escape. And a distraction? Like, what are we distracting ourselves with, and what are we distracting ourselves from? And that's really what we need to ask ourselves. That it will tell us, what we're distracting ourselves with shopping. That's clear from the bank statements, but what are we distracting ourselves from? What is shopping keeping us from dealing with? And a lot of the times it's emotions that our brain is telling us something is wrong. And that's where it's not our brain that's dysfunctional. It's the brain is telling us, mayday, mayday, something is wrong. We need to do our due diligence and figure out what is the problem. How can I figure it out and fix it? We don't do that. We just go the other way. We go to the safety and security of the mall where we feel comfortable and we don't have to deal with any unexpected or unpleasant emotions. We just get away and escape.
Mm. So profound. I mean, again, that reflection of why are you doing what you're doing, and really being mindful. It actually makes me think of, like, what role does mindfulness play in developing these better shopping habits, and how can individuals cultivate their own mindfulness when approaching how they spend?
Absolutely. Mindfulness is huge, and I actually implement it in my course. Mindfulness is actually a willingness to experience all the emotions, and we tend to limit ourselves. We don't like feeling the negative emotions, and as a result, we're not able to experience the whole breadth of emotion and the full experience of joy. And so we have to experience those negative emotions to experience the positive ones. And I think shopping can kind of deaden and dampen our emotions because we're not dealing with those emotions, those heavy emotions. We're not sitting down and sitting with, okay, I feel sad. Why do I feel sad? I'm seeking. Sad is usually we need healing of some kind. Well, what healing do I need in my life? It's not the healing balms of Bath and Body Works. It's some kind of healing internally. It's not something to be bought outside in a mall or at a store. And we need to be mindful about our emotions. There's a quote that says, instead of trying to feel better, we need to feel better. And I love that, because with shopping, we try to feel better. The end result is we want to just feel better, get away from that negative emotion. But instead, we need to feel better. We need to sit and feel our feelings and identify them. And they will tell us a lot more than a lot of the times we're willing to sit and take in. But once we're mindful of that, our body will tell us what we need, and the change will happen a lot more than just trying to fix your spending. I love Dr. Beakey said, we see spending as a logical problem to be solved and not an emotional issue to be addressed. And that just summarizes everything that I've learned and I've experienced. Is budgeting tends to be just logic, And but spending is not logic, it's emotion, and we need to fix it at the emotional level. And there is a part for budgeting. There's a definite need for budgeting. You need to know how much you have to spend in order to save, and vice versa. But we tend to apply the same rules of a budget for spending, and it's not the same. We need to view it as an emotional issue to be addressed. And that's where, I'm not a psychologist. I highly recommend mental health therapy. I've done mental health therapy. I've learned so much from it. And it encourages you to sit with those negative emotions and do some introspection and to deal with things that you've been putting off.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just sitting down with clients earlier today, and you're absolutely right. There's this difference between we're going over the budget, we're making the plan, and we're talking about how to go about executing that plan. But before we can even do all of that, we're reflecting on, well, how did last week's plan go? Were you able to execute? And there is a lot of guilt and shame and beating up of oneself because, well, I overspent in this category, and truth be told, like, it was one of the best categories that I think somebody could overspend in. They were being generous. They were
Hmm.
being they were giving to other people in need. And they're like, yeah, but it messed us up. And I was like, okay, once we got to look at it, it was, you had the money, you just didn't have the money in the spot
Yeah.
that you you needed it to be in, right? And so
Yeah.
now we know that. And so now it goes back to that spending where you want to, instead of mindlessly kind of spending in a category you don't care about. So it's all like, hey, this money, you had it. You had it earmarked over here, moving that money into a category over here and putting that money in a place that aligns with your values and using it on the things that actually mean something to you.
Yeah, yeah, and you're absolutely right with the reflecting on the spending plan. Like, okay, you overspent in this area. The very next question, which you probably asked, is like, well, why? It was in generosity. That's such a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So, and maybe they're feeling guilty. That's where that opens up a whole bunch of questions about,
Mm-hmm.
why do you feel guilty about that? Maybe they have issues around money and having more than others around them. There's so much to it. But when we just focus on the numbers and, oh, you overspent, well, you need to do better next week, we miss out on so much more.
I'm really interested to know, like, in your experience, do certain shopping types tend to struggle more with budgeting and overspending? And if so, how do you address that?
Yeah, I would say that the two hardest spending types to address with budgeting are probably the impulsive spender and the passive spender. And as a recap, the impulsive spender again is spending on those purchases that weren't planned for in advance. And because they weren't planned for in advance, you're at the mercy of what you see, and you can't plan for the unexpected. You can't plan for, oh, that deal's going to be amazing. That is so tempting in the moment, and it's so hard to say no. And so that's the hardest thing to help people with is the impulsive spender. And then the passive spender, they're someone that's not intrinsically motivated by money, and so everything is going to be more appealing than money. And so instead of jumping right to the budget, and I don't deal specifically with budget, I deal with spending.
Mm.
But instead of jumping in with the spending and how to help them decrease their spending and address spending, we have to find what's motivating to them. And that takes a while because we have to really uncover what drives them, because a lot of the times it's things and experiences, and it's things to buy. It's not that they're lazy, it's just that money doesn't motivate them. And so that can be difficult in terms of a budget and in terms of a spending plan, because there are so many outside influences that can impact the trajectory of their success, I think.
So I would like to offer a word of advice or encouragement to those impulse spenders. So often I sit down with somebody who is incredibly spontaneous, right? And so one of the things I always joke about is, how do you plan for spontaneity? Well, I've figured it out. So you can plan for spontaneity. It's as simple as having a fund earmarked as your opportunity fund. And so you're putting money away, and you have it set aside for when opportunities present themselves. And so whether it's a small opportunity like, ooh, this thing is on sale and I couldn't have anticipated that and I'm kind of impulsive because I want it now, you can then, you have the money to do that. And what I would hope happens, I'd have to circle back with clients who do this to kind of ask them, but like, I would imagine once you have the money set aside for opportunities, you evaluate those opportunities differently.
Yes.
Right? So if it's a small one, you might be able to thwart the desire to be impulsive. But if it's a bigger opportunity, like, ooh, this is a really good opportunity. I don't know when this is going to happen again. And I want to be kind of spontaneous and impulsive and just do it. Well, you have an opportunity fund that's been growing, and it's dedicated, designed to help you take advantage of those opportunities when they come your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you this. How important is it for an individual to align their shopping habits with their financial goals? And how can they ensure they're doing that effectively?
That is key. I feel like budgeting can almost be like goal setting, where we're very optimistic and we're very, this is going to happen. I'm going to make up for last year. I'm going to make up for last month, and I'm going to do so much better. And everything works out on paper, but spending doesn't happen on paper. It happens with the real emotions. And I think the way that you need to incorporate the goals with like actual finances is, you need to understand that I need to spend this amount so that I can save for my trip, or save for this house, save for my kids' college fund, whatever it is. You have to have a so that I can, because oftentimes we just have an amount, this arbitrary amount, and then during the month we just say, well, it's those impulse buys. I want this more than I want my kid's college fund right now. Like, this is way more appealing. It's for me, but it's that reminder of, this is what I have to spend this amount and spend under this amount so that I can. And then there's also the flip side. If I don't spend under this amount, I won't be able to save this amount. And so you have to make those connections during the month. If I spend this amount, then I won't be able to spend this amount in the category I care about, or that I'm saving toward. We have to play that out in our mind, and we have to not do the mental math. We have to like actually look at the numbers, especially if it's a larger purchase. We have to look at the numbers and play out, what is that going to look like. I love the mental math. It's like, oh, I'll cut back next month. I'll be really good. It doesn't happen. We just do the same thing next month. We don't cut back in the, I spent more in my grocery budget, so I'm going to cut back in entertainment. We don't. We actually have to move the money. We have to take it out of the entertainment. We have to do that physically. We have to do it in cash, whatever your budget system is. But that's where the disconnect happens, is when we choose to actively go against the budget, then we have to disclose it. And I actually, I wanted the listeners on your podcast to have some really like active tools to help them with these impulse buys, because spending is very like opportunistic. It's like, oh, I don't want to miss out. You're just surrounded by those things all the time.
Hey there, budgeteers. Are you tired of feeling like your finances are running the show? Well, it's time to flip the script and take charge of your money with New Money Habits Financial Coaching. This isn't your typical financial advice. New Money Habits is about empowering empowering you with the knowledge and tools you need to make savvy money moves and build a solid financial foundation. Here's the deal. We're offering a free discovery session to kickstart your journey to financial freedom. Yep, you heard me right. Free. In this session, one of our experienced coaches will help you to pinpoint your financial goals and create a better plan for your money. We're talking about mastering your money mindset, picking up practical money management skills, and having someone to hold you accountable along the way. So, if you're ready to kiss financial stress goodbye and say hello to a brighter financial future, then schedule your free session today to create the new money habits you need to achieve financial freedom.
And I came up with the 4 Ds of decision making. And so when you have that item and you're looking at it, you can say a million and one things about how amazing the item is. But I want you to, the first D is defame. So I want you to say the things that you don't like about it. Maybe it doesn't fit that great. Maybe it doesn't fit you at all. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, well, I'm not going to lose 20 pounds in a week. You have to be honest with yourself. Defame it, and maybe it's not the right color, maybe it's not the right time in your life. You have to be honest with yourself and defame that item so you're not as likely to just buy on impulse. And then the next D is detach. So you want to remove yourself from the item. If you can remove yourself from the store, that's great. If you're scrolling on Amazon and you have that item, it's great to just get out of Amazon, and it's best to just get off your phone because it's very easy to just hop back onto Amazon. So you want to just detach from the item. So just remove yourself from it, walk around the store, just get away from it. And then distract yourself with something else. Especially if you're on your phone with Amazon, you want to distract by doing something totally different. If you're bored, you're probably on Amazon, you're bored, and you're scrolling, you're getting inspired, you're getting that dopamine just by seeing things that you like. That gives us dopamine. And so we need to distract by doing something totally different. Read a book, go do exercise, give you that natural endorphin, that natural dopamine. And then the last D is declare or disclose. So you're going to say out loud, I am choosing to buy this $50 item. It is going against my budget, or I'm taking $50 away from entertainment category so I can put it toward my this want that I have right now. And I love the declare and disclose because so often we say, I just spent and I don't know what happened. The money just went. It just is gone and I have no idea. But when you disclose it, it's like I'm actively choosing this. This isn't just a whim. I'm just going to fight it. And disclosing, if you have someone you feel comfortable and safe talking with about finances, which we all should, but having someone that you can talk to and say, I'm choosing to buy this, and you're disclosing it to them. And it's just that barrier of, if you're nervous about disclosing it to someone, then maybe you should question buying it. Declaring it, if you're saying, ooh, I feel weird about declaring this, I'm going against my budget. You're choosing to not pursue the thing that you want more, which is maybe it's your kid's college fund. And saying that out loud, ugh, like that hits the heart. But maybe it's not the kid's college fund. Maybe it's, okay, I am choosing to spend $20, $50 more in my entertainment budget, and I'm going to cut less, $50 in grocery budget. At the time, that's probably fine because you're wanting that entertainment, and you're saying it out loud so that when you have to cut that money from your groceries, it's not like, oh, you're not surprised. You know why, and you think, oh, well, it was justified because that was a really good movie. It was a fun date night. There's a reason for why. And I love the 4 Ds to decision making because it kind of breaks you out of that, like, I see it, I want it, I buy it cycle. You need to just pause and give yourself that break to just breathe. And then, beyond that, I put together just a very extensive spending guide. It's a Become Unstoppable spending guide, and it really analyzes. It's divided by your spending type. It starts out with 6 questions, and it asks you the primary question for each spending type, and then it takes you to 10, 15 questions for each spending type that go in detail into, is this an impulsive purchase? Okay, let's ask you, do you really need it at this time? Do you have the money for it, or are you just thinking I'll pay for it later, I'll figure out the money later? Do you, what's the worst that can happen by not buying it? They're really in-depth questions to kind of break that do I really need this impulse. And then again, they're divided by spending type, so you can use it for necessity. It's a need, but it asks those more higher level questions, so you're not just again caught into that habitual, I see it, I want it, I buy it. And that's what is so ingrained in us, that we need to just create that pause. And I've tried to go in unarmed and not, see something and not buy it. And without, even knowing all I know, it's really difficult to not buy something. But having these questions and having just the 4Ds, it just helps again to break that cycle, to bring more attention and bring more awareness into what am I buying. And I'm going to actually make a conscious decision to spend this rather than wonder where the money went.
Excellent. Do me a favor and share one of your success stories with a client,
Sure.
with our audience, please.
Yeah, sure. So I think the most satisfying one was I had a good friend that reached out to me, and she's been struggling with health issues, and she's felt very discouraged and very stuck in life. And I think what was most satisfying for me was that she's our discussions about becoming unshoppable, it's rekindled a desire to stop being so out of control with shopping and get out of her phone, get off the internet, and rekindle that love of creativity and photography and makeup. She wants to do a YouTube channel, and she wants to just create again. And it's been something that shopping has robbed from her. And I think so often we think shopping's not taking anything from me, it's giving. I'm gaining so much from shopping. No, it's taking a lot from you. You're just not aware of it. And she has realized and is beginning to realize how much it's taken from her. And she's starting to take it back. And she said, this week the fields, the weather's gorgeous, the turkeys are out. I'm gonna take all the pictures and post it for you. And I just I just love that.
Well, what an incredible and inspirational story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And thank you for sharing your time with us. Let our listeners know, where can they find you, and what are some of the things you're up to?
Yeah, so you can find me on my free Facebook community, the Money Make Under community. I have free coaching and trainings and just updates on what I'm up to. And then, of course, take the free spending types quiz. That is the first step to becoming unshoppable. And as we've explained, it really gives you a pointed focus on where to start tracking your spending habits. And I am working on a group coaching program where I divide clients into their spending type. And I'm really excited to do this. There's definitely commonalities between spenders, but specifically with the spending types, we have strengths and weaknesses, and to come together with that common ground and meet these milestones together with people that just get it as an impulsive spender and an emotional spender, whichever you are, is just so exciting. So I'm working on that. Can't wait to launch that in the next month or two. And yeah, I just look forward to getting you in the free community and learning more about you, because we are all in this together, and it's just a journey that where we need to just come together without the shame and guilt that spending tends to give us, and learn to just be reflective and ask more questions and get more results to become unshoppable.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for taking the time with us. I think what you're doing is incredibly important. Creating community of like-minded people is something that I think is invaluable, and you're taking financial literacy to another level, right? For so many of us, we're not taught how to manage our money. there aren't classes in schools for it. In many cases, our parents don't do it. And then when we try to figure out this whole money thing on our own, we make a bunch of mistakes, and then we start to feel guilty about those mistakes. And so helping people to really understand their shopping type and their tendencies, and then how they can get in front of those tendencies and be reflective and mindful and intentional is some great work. And so thank you again for spending the time with us. We've run out of time on today's special episode of the New Money Habits podcast. Be sure to join us again next time when we continue our conversation with Marianne Stenquist, the money maker and spending coach on a mission to help people curb their overspending. That does it for this episode of the New Money Habits podcast. Remember, if you have any questions, make sure to hit us up on social at New Money Habits and follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Please consider leaving a 5-star rating and review to help us spread this message of hope to people looking for a better plan for their money.